It was a moment in history. I've never seen anything like this outpouring of joy.
To see that sea of humanity in the streets of Tunis was there starkly showing us that all of a sudden a country was no longer afraid.
Looking back on it 10 years ago, things have not gone well, but the cat that was let out of the bag 10 years ago is going to stay in people's memories.
The streets of central Tunis are a battleground.
First of all, there was a sense of disbelief when President Ben Ali eventually left the country and the head of the regime at least fell. Nobody really saw that coming. They never imagined that those protests in the early days would have that conclusion. Many of the grievances of the Tunisian people which led to those protests are ones which were common throughout the region, and the fact that we were living in an age when social media was becoming increasingly important, all of the kind of elements were there, which has spread in a way which it hadn't before.
These were countries where you didn't used to protest against the regime. These were very repressive, autocratic regimes. So when this huge groundswell of popular uprising started, you knew it had legs. We knew this was going to change the world, the Arab world.
Ici, sur la place Tahrir, tout le monde autour de moi chante, danse.
Ce qui a été un moment clé pour moi, c'était que j'étais place Tahrir aussi, en particulier au moment où on a annoncé la chute de Moubarak qui partait. Et là, ça a été une espèce d'explosion de joie, une sorte d'incompréhension. Cette place Tahrir, il faut s'imaginer que c'était vraiment un concentré de tous les révolutionnaires, donc de tous bords, et que dès qu'on sortait un petit peu de cette place, le pays continuait à fonctionner sous l'ère Moubarak.
And the scenes here are absolutely amazing. Just when you thought that they couldn't possibly fit another body onto Tahrir Square, well, crowds and crowds are coming in by the thousands to join in what has become the mother of all celebrations.
If you were in Tahrir Square, you had the feeling that it was a new dawn, a new era for Egypt. But when you went to other parts of the Egyptian capital, or like we did, we went to the Nile Delta, and we went to one town to interview trade unionists. We got there, 20 minutes after we arrived, plainclothes police shut us down and told us to go home. And one of them said to us, go back to Tahrir Square. And that really gave us the sense that the Egypt that we were looking at in front of the cameras was not the Egypt that most ordinary citizens were seeing.
It was kind of a game of cat and mouse with the official government minders of the Gaddafi regime. So they weren't letting journalists work freely. We had to basically fight to try and make reports that were not state-sanctioned by the Gaddafi regime. So we'd try and sneak out of the hotel. They'd try and stop us. A lot of the people were very afraid because clearly they could suffer consequences for speaking out against Gaddafi. But, we did manage to cut through to some extent, and kind of break this illusion and really speak to people about what their daily life was like, what their hopes were for the future.
Only around 150 people have died in Libya. That is the opinion of Muammar Gaddafi, who has spoken exclusively to France 24.
There is a plot. That is deliberately distorting the truth.
Meeting Gaddafi was something I will remember for the rest of my life. I mean, we didn't know what to expect. And it was so surreal, to meet this guy who's at the center of the international attention at that time, speaking out to France 24, speaking to us, answering my questions. And, he clearly was disconnected with reality. The cracks were starting to show.
We're not just asking Gaddafi to leave anymore. We want him to hang by his neck until he's dead.
The tide changed, over the course of the next 6 months. The fighters gained ground. They gained a lot of power. I went back in August 2011 to Libya when it was clear the Gaddafi regime was crumbling. I'll always remember the night in August 2011 when we drove into Tripoli behind this deliriously happy rebel fighter convoy, and we arrived in the central square, and it was a scene of complete joy and wildness, and these rebels with their weapons firing into the air, and a moment in history. We went up onto a rooftop in the center of Tripoli and started broadcasting live and just trying to convey the energy of the moment, the newness of the moment, bringing that breaking news to the world in 3 languages. It was complete euphoria. And then the fighting started again.
More shots being fired right now across Green Square. It still is a volatile situation.
It's been really sad to see the dreams that they had in 2011 turn into chaos, turn into violence. People are struggling today with unemployment. They're struggling still with security concerns. There's a lot of work to do. And one man, just on this 10th anniversary of the revolution, said, we still haven't harvested the fruit of the revolution. And I think that's a feeling for a lot of Libyans.
Bien sûr, c'est la déception. Bien sûr, il y a la répression qu'on connaît. Mais je suis persuadée que les petites graines qui ont été semées à ce moment-là germeront un peu plus tard. Tout processus révolutionnaire est comme ça.
نحن أعطينا كلمة حرة لمن كانوا يتظاهرون ويريدون الإعراب عن رأيهم. لم يجدوا هذه المساحة في وسائل إعلام محلية، وجدوها في قنوات أجنبية.
It feels a privilege to have been on the ground to cover this major event and to bring these pictures and these voices to the outside world. Once that hope is out there, I don't know if it can ever really be put down. Taboos were broken, the rules were broken, and it felt very exciting.